Yeah, so I'm going to call the meeting to order at 7:11.
Oh.
I had to wait for something
That's a lot.
classic. Yeah, well, I had to wait for something that was kind of cool. We have a quorum. There's 5 members of this committee. 3 of us are here. 4 of us are here. I'm sorry, I forgot about you.
I may look like 2 people.
I
but
forgot.
that's-
No, I forgot. You said you weren't going to be here. You are
I
here.
may look like 2 people, but you know.
You don't look like 2 people.
No, you do not.
I have something that I normally read before meeting, which is the introduction of ground rules. Since there is nobody in the audience, I'm going to postpone the reading of this, and should an audience show up, I will then read it, because we all know what the rules are. Okay? So that said, let's take a look at the minutes from March, and look it over.
I think everybody has a copy.
Yeah, and see if there are any changes or corrections that need to be made.
Can we discuss
Yeah,
marine airborne contaminants and all that stuff? The last meeting? I just don't remember. Stormwater.
I think stormwater. I don't remember about airborne contaminants.
Well, they told
Yeah,
them they
vaguely.
had to continue
But
testing.
did we discuss that last time?
What line are you?
Under new
Oh,
business.
airborne contaminants.
Under new business.
Yeah, I think I threw that in as part of the overall. You get into stormwater, soil, and airborne contaminants. And I think part of the airborne was the result of that interim report that the DTSC issued
Oh, okay.
after the fire.
Oh, right, okay, I do remember that vaguely. Okay.
Any corrections?
I don't see any.
Nope. I approve them. I mean, I can move we approve.
Oh, I do see one correction.
Okay.
In opening business, I was at the meeting, the Cali VA meeting, but I did not take the tour that day.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Shar showed up later.
I showed up for the meeting.
Yeah, you came to the meeting. Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Just do a virtual.
All right, I will make that change.
Okay, so minutes are approved as amended, unless anybody has an objection. So I'd like to also reserve the right to come back to comments from the chairs. And since there's nobody, you want to, why don't we
Any
go,
comments?
can we leave it till later just in case somebody shows up, or would you rather do? 'Cause
It's rather lengthy.
Oh, you're coming from the chair? And it doesn't have anything to do with the agenda? It's not on the agenda?
Had some major occurrences in SSFL that I want to pass on to everyone.
Okay, so we won't do that. All right.
To begin with, Hirsch apparently went to the city council and requested money. And Smith made a motion to give $600,000 to Hirsch to retain a law firm.
Oh, that money was going to Hirsch to retain the law firm?
They're not giving it to Hirsch. That's
No, I'm
city.
just asking, I don't know, I hadn't heard anything about that. I know about the 600,000, but.
The 600,000 is for the plaintiffs in the, probably in the original lawsuit, which included physicians and whoever. I'm trying to make the point, though, that it's a down payment. $600,000 is not going to fund a federal lawsuit. In any case, it was approved at the initial step, and I think it has 2 more steps to go. The council, full council, and maybe the mayor signs off on it. But I think it's in response to Department of Energy's environmental statement, and where they listed 3 alternative cleanup methods within the AOC, they say, within the agreement on consent. And I think that this money is in response to that DOE report. However, a number of things have happened that are very significant this week, or last week. On the NASA side, the NASA Inspector General came and issued a report. And his report, I'll just summarize it. I brought copies for you to read later on, but
Okay.
he's basically saying that if they do the cleanup to background under the AOC, will cost more than $500 million and take as long as 25 years to complete, with significant damage to the site. $500 million is roughly 40% of NASA's money for the entire US. So it's a very significant amount of money. The Inspector General is saying that the cleanup is being done to an unprecedented degree to naturally occurring levels, and in some cases the cleanup is being called for is below background naturally occurring levels. So his recommendation is that NASA pursue all available options, administrative, legal, or political, to ensure NASA's SFL soil cleanup is performed in an environmentally and financially responsible manner. But he is definitely against the $500 million being spent on that cleanup. So that was the prior week, and then this week NASA issued an announcement, and the announcement says that they are going to prepare a supplemental environmental impact statement, supplemental EIS, in which case they are going to look at alternative methods of cleanup. Just a little bit of background. NEPA, which is the National Environment Policy Act, says you must look at alternatives. And of course the AOC doesn't look at any alternatives, which is in violation of NEPA. DOE got around it by saying we looked at alternatives within the AOC. And they did look at 3 alternatives. Now NASA is waking up to the fact that they have to comply with NEPA also. So they are going to go back and take a look at alternatives, but they mentioned something that I don't understand. They say that the amount of soil that has to be removed has increased substantially. And so they're going to go back and redo their program, committed to having a cleanup that's protective, a public health environment based in science, technical achievability, and minimizes impact. And the thing that strikes me is that this language sounds like the language from the Inspector General. So the word that I got from NASA is yes, they are going to do this, and when it comes out, I don't know. Against the last piece of background is that DTSC is supposed to be issuing their program management report, which says this is the way you're going to clean it up. Boeing, DOE, and NASA. I don't know when that's going to come up. We've been waiting now for, I don't know, 9 months or a year, and we haven't received anything. So it's a very complex story. You know, Merle.
But NASA has just a smaller parcel. Boeing has the majority of the land.
Yes.
So, as I recall, when I'm thinking of the map, so what you're indicating is that there's a possibility that NASA will clean it up one way and Boeing another?
Well, yes,
Yes.
that's exactly what's happening.
Well, I'm asking the question.
Let me respond. First of all, Boeing is doing the cleanup according to the 2007 agreement, which is they're going to clean it up to suburban residential, but subsequently they say it's going to be open land, open space. So you're going to have Boeing doing the residential cleanup using US EPA guidelines. Now you have DOE, which has come up with alternatives, which includes the conservation of resources, which is US EPA guidelines. And then now NASA's jumping
Which are
in.
not the
I don't
same.
know which way they're going to go, but they will be examining alternatives. So that leads us to, I think, what you're raising is a good point. You're going to have cross-contamination.
Correct. And that's where I was headed, okay? That there would be a cross-contamination and, which, first thing. And second is that it doesn't pass what I call the smell test, which means it doesn't feel right, what they're doing, okay?
Who is good?
NASA and Boeing, okay? They're each operating by themselves without working together to find the solution.
Because Boeing didn't sign the 2010
Well,
AOC.
for whatever reason, I'm only saying that it just doesn't, for me, make logical sense.
But to me, that's a reasonable observation. When you take a look at it this way, the unifying factor in all of this is supposed to be DTSC. And DTSC has not tried to pull people together, has not attempted to negotiate. They're saying, my father's bigger than your father. Right?
Well, that's politics.
It's turning out to be ego trip. And then over here, you have the city of Los Angeles is giving $600,000 to a law firm that's going to further muddy the waters. And so the cleanup just keeps moving.
Well, that's, I think that's part of, that's the political animal between operating there. And this isn't a solution, okay? But I noticed that on Sunday, between 2 and 4 o'clock, all the candidates for District 12 are being presented or are coming to talk at one of the temples. I don't remember which one. And maybe this is an issue that we should definitely at some point bring up to all those candidates in terms of, in some terms, I'm not quite sure what the terms are, but this has been going on for me since I've been on the board, you know, and if we're going to do something that is going to help the stakeholders do the cleanup properly, come to a solution, then we need to get politics in on this. For me, the politics are those candidates.
You know, the problem is
I
that
understand
we've
that.
got- I'm a co-chair, so I can kind of sort of interject, but then we'll recognize. The problem in my opinion is that there's been so much time spent fighting over what the level of cleanup should be, that in and of itself is preventing the cleanup from actually taking place. That's the problem.
Right.
We lost 5 entire years with litigation, and my understanding is it's probably going to be the people that lost are going to appeal. That's going to be another year, and then if they don't win, they're going to refile and be another God knows how many years. And this is part of the problem. Everybody, regardless of which camp they belong to, wants a cleanup to a level that's going to be safe. Now, everybody claims that's a different level. You know, some people say that it should be to the level of AOC, that the AOCs dictated, 2010 AOCs that were agreed to. Other people say it doesn't need to be that extreme to be safe. But everybody ultimately wants the same thing.
Exactly.
Nobody can agree on what that is. And this should have been done and completed a long time ago. So this is ridiculous. But anyway, Bonnie.
First of all, Alex said that the money, $600,000, was given to Dan Hirsch. That is not true at all. He said there were 3 alternatives in the AOC.
Well, wait a
There
minute.
are
Tell
not.
me where the money's going.
No, I don't have to tell
Well,
you
let Bonnie
anything.
finish first. then.
Okay.
There are not 3 alternatives in the AOC. There's one. And you're talking, Steve, you're talking about 5 years lost. Well, I've said this over and over again. The reason that LA is involved in the lawsuit is because they dumped without testing nuclear buildings out of Area 4 into all of our landfills.
I know, but we can't undo what's been done.
That's why there's a lawsuit. All they have to do is test their buildings and
Well,
the lawsuit's over.
The only
They won't do it.
The only consideration at this point in time should be what's there and what do we need to do to get it cleaned up, to be protective of people. That's all that matters. It doesn't matter who dumped it, why it was dumped, when it was dumped, if there was a meltdown, if there wasn't a meltdown. Everybody keeps muddying the waters with the past. And the only thing that's important is today and tomorrow, moving forward from where we are right now. And all of this fighting between the different factions is just holding things up. We all want that place cleaned up.
But you have to understand, and I've said this over and over again, the risk-based cleanup that you're asking for will take away 2% and leave the rest will stay.
Well, the 98% that's left may not be injured.
Well, all I have to say is we have a lot of cancer, awful lot of cancer with the workers and the
Well, yeah,
families
but
of
that's
young
for people
kids.
that work up there. That's not for the.
Yeah,
Okay,
and the young children and the coaches.
I'd like to interject, please, here, if I may.
Yeah, well,
History is prologue, as far as I'm concerned. And as far as Shakespeare's concerned too. But history is prologue, okay? And to bring up the prologue as to what has taken place is a waste of time, in my opinion. And we should remember that it's prologue for what we now have to address to resolve the issue. Bonnie, whether you're right or wrong is not, for me, is not the issue. Possibly you are, possibly you're not. The bottom line is people are getting sick, from something, okay? For some reason, from something. And that's part of what I mean by saying that history is prologue. And we need to move forward and get into more than prologue. I'm saying that we have an opportunity, and right now, with a vote for a new council person, that we can address with the council, with the group of council people, the urgency of untangling this situation and doing whatever is necessary from the political side, whether it be on the city, on the state, on the federal, well, I'm not sure the federal, but on the state, or on the corporate side, but it needs to have direct attendance.
Go ahead, Sean.
Okay, we're trying to put together, as a matter of fact, I was working on it today,
It's
the
actually
candidate forum
Past is
on May
prologue.
19th. One problem, but the city said they will send me a list, is a lot of these people, they're not even online. So when you try to look them up, they don't even have a website. It's very bizarre.
Who? The
The
candidate?
candidates.
Yeah.
Really?
Oh,
It's
yeah.
really
What
weird.
did you say?
I mean, some do, but a lot of them
What did you say?
don't. The candidates that are
Oh,
running for
candidates,
CD12, a lot of them are not listed. But this LA city clerk did say they'd send me a list. So, but I had to make like a formal request because they won't just send it out.
Well, who's ever there? Then
Well,
we
most of
address it.
Well, we
Most
have
of
to
them aren't
invite
gonna
all
take,
of them.
most of them aren't gonna take the time
Right.
to actually learn what they need to learn.
Right. Here's what I wanted to say about that. The problem, and I agree with you, that obviously their position is very important to us. Problem is, most of them know very little about it. And the other thing that really bothers me is when you look at LA City, they have based a lot of their information on a report that was done by the Bureau of Engineering. I do not believe that the Bureau of Engineering is the proper department.
No, of course not.
I mean, that's crazy.
Of course not.
So, I mean, look, people like Bonnie, even myself, a lot of us here, we've been involved in this for many, many years.
But for us not to be proactive about it is what
Oh,
I'm
no,
saying.
I agree with you.
Past is prologue, okay?
Absolutely.
And for us not to be proactive at a time when we have an opportunity to at least be somewhat proactive,
Yes, Yes.
Then
Why
we
don't
should take that
why don't we
opportunity.
let Bonnie talk and then maybe I can speak on it.
Okay.
I'd like to quote Christina Walsh. She said something at the last meeting she came to, which I thought was very important. We have 2 signed agreements. They are the law. Signed agreements. And that's all we have.
With who?
Can I
With
help
the
you
state
on
of
that a little
California.
bit? They are contracts. They are not the law. They're not legislated. But no matter. All of this is very complex and Bonnie has her points and I have my points and all that and we go back and forth, on and on and on. I think it has to be clarified. One is, we all want the SSFL cleaned up, number one. Number two, nobody knows about cancer. I have not spoken to anybody that can tell me cancer is caused by this, and there's it happens, and all that other stuff. I don't know. Let's just clean the place up. I don't want to discuss cancer clusters.
Well,
What little I know about it.
I think everybody's in agreement.
Let me finish. I've come to the conclusion that the only way out of this is that they're going to sit down and negotiate. And if Hirsch continues to have a hard line, you're going to do it my way no matter what, we'll just have to turn it all over to a judge.
Which is not a good idea. I personally spoke with.
I want negotiation. Go ahead.
And I personally spoke with Hirsch at the end of the last work group.
It's been a long time.
Yes, it's been a long time. I spoke with him, I went up on stage, we talked one-on-one. And he actually agreed that the site needs to be cleaned up to a level that is safe, and he acknowledged that he doesn't know what that level is. Now, what he said to me is a little different than what he says to other people, but that is what he said to me. And I left feeling that we were in agreement with what needs to be done as far as what the end result is. How we get there, and even at the meeting last month, Christina said that, I don't know if it was this committee or another committee.
The government.
I think it was the other committee.
The government.
The government committee. Christina said that essentially what she said was that what she wants for the end result and what I think the end result should be are also one and the same thing. But she said that going the route that she's going as far as approving the expenditure of the $600,000 to hire the attorneys to force the Los Angeles City Council to carry through with their position on this, which they've already taken a position, is just another way to get to the same place. She feels that by doing that, by supporting that position, that it's probably not going to happen anyway that way, that there will be something in between, some kind of a negotiation. But she feels that that's a better route to take than what we're saying without the expenditure of the money. I felt we didn't need to spend the money to do that we don't need a law firm involved in this because everybody knows what happens when you get lawyers involved.
It's a specialized law firm.
I know, let me tell you, law
Still a
firms
law
are in
firm.
business to make money. And I'm telling you, every time I've done anything in my life, and I'm 73 years old, and I've had plenty of instances where I went to law schools. I've had plenty of instances where lawyers get involved in my personal business. And I will tell you that in every single case, they're thinking of one thing, lining their pockets, every one of them, which is the reason I decided not to be an attorney. And I just don't like involving a law firm in something that they're hired to argue a position.
Where's Tony when you need him?
Okay, they're hired to argue a position and make money. And the longer they can draw things out, the more money they make. Okay, so that's why I'm totally against it. I understand Christina's point of view, but the bottom line is that Christina and I actually want the same outcome. So.
Well, this is the way I see it. We've got the nuclear area. They know where everything is to clean it up. They
Yeah.
know, they have tested that whole
Absolutely.
nuclear area.
There's spot areas and
They have a
exactly where
map.
it
They
is.
know exactly where it is.
Right.
I feel that should be cleaned up. We're dealing with NASA and DOE, not Boeing.
No,
NASA
absolutely.
and DOE.
That's where that
And then-
contamination is.
Over at NASA, they've got nuclear contamination on NASA. They've
Another
got-
NASA land.
Who
Yes.
gives you that?
They have cesium.
Who said that?
It's been in the meetings forever.
You mean NASA in?
No.
Yes.
In
Wherever,
Texas?
no.
Here.
NASA on the hill.
Wherever
They have it at the Locks
wherever
plant.
the nuclides are, the nuclear contamination is, my understanding is that they know exactly where it is. It's in specific locations. They don't need to make a moonscape out of the place. They
Right.
need to go, if it's here,
The
Take it out.
the
One
US
more- one more
EPA
comment.
Excuse, the US EPA, we paid them $40 million to go in and identify those locations. So I agree, it's known.
One more comment. The water is all the way below the bottom of the mountain.
that's
It's
another,
below our
that's
ground.
a different issue. You can't,
It's below our ground level. It will never, ever be cleaned
no,
up.
they
It's
can't,
a related
they can't
issue.
clean,
They cannot.
they cannot get to
They
that.
cannot clean it
But
up.
they need to clean up, whatever nuclear contamination there is to background, in other words, remove all of it, and the chemical contamination to a level where it cannot cause cancer or other health issues for people visiting the site or living in a reasonable proximity to the site. That's what we need to accomplish. Why this became such a contentious issue between different factions of
Well,
people.
I know.
And
I
it's
know.
hard, and listen, I'm not making any money on this thing, okay?
Well, me either.
Yeah, but there is somebody who's making money on it.
Steve,
And
I think the problem that's coming down to is, yes, there are different opinions.
I mean, I look at the cancer.
AOC was written by someone who has absolutely no scientific knowledge at all. None.
Anyways,
Safety, let me finish.
is this our
Human
whole meeting?
safety is not mentioned in the AOC.
no, not at all.
Well, look,
Furthermore, as you go through the pages, they prohibit the use of statistics.
so,
Is somebody nuts?
so we have a task, as I see it, we have a task, past this prologue, ladies and gentlemen, keep saying that. We have a task of moving whatever this is forward in some fashion. And that's what we should
It's what we've
decide.
been trying to do for years.
Well, I got it, but that's what, and so, all that I'm suggesting is at the moment, we are in a political battle for councilmen. Okay, councilman is attached to the city, right? And in my opinion, we should take advantage of that, forcefully take advantage of that, and not continue to go back and forth, you should, they need.
We need to stop fighting about it.
And just move forward. Even if moving forward is the wrong way to move forward, okay? But we need to move forward.
Okay, are we still on comments from the chairs?
Yes. I don't understand, but so long as everybody has a hard position and they're not gonna come to the table, we'll end up in a courtroom and the guy
Alec,
that
we
will,
just,
the guy that will make
we
the
just,
decision.
but we don't. We don't have a hard position. We have a position of moving forward to find a solution. The way I see it is, right now, we could take advantage of the political situation going on in this district.
You will not get Hirsch to change one letter of the AOC.
The AOCs,
I won't.
the AOCs were the result of several politicians who didn't have a clear understanding of this, forcing the two responsible parties that agreed to them to sign them. And my understanding, and I can't prove it, my understanding is that some of that was done through threats of discontinuing some federal funding that those
Got it.
parties were getting. And they were put in a position where they had to sign it. Okay, they didn't want to sign it. That's my understanding. I wasn't involved in this at the time.
Got it.
So getting politicians involved, yeah, it could be good if their head's in the right place. The problem is that there are two factions, and the faction that's screaming the loudest is also the faction that's responsible for the delays.
Well, then,
Who, Hirsch?
The-
DOE won't
people-
test the buildings,
the
that's
people-
why it's not moving
The
forward.
people who filed the lawsuit
It isn't
have
that simple.
been responsible.
I'm not
The city of
saying
Los
this.
Angeles
Not-
filed
not
the
moving
lawsuit.
forward.
Okay,
Not moving forward. Everyone is saying this and this and this and this. Steve is right, Bonnie's right, you're right, okay?
I'm promoting negotiation.
Well,
I'm promoting to sit down.
Politics.
and well, let's bring it to, let's find the person who can bring us together.
political structure is different. There's a new governor in the state. We're
The
going
new
into
governor
council.
appointed a guy that
Huh?
told us that
Yeah,
he's
don't
not
remind
going to vary from the AOC.
Doesn't matter, doesn't matter. And you get somebody else involved like Schwarzenegger, okay?
Yeah.
Brady Schwarzenegger.
Schwarzenegger.
He's former governor
No, I know who
and
he
he's a
is.
political activist,
I know who he is. but
okay?
I
He's
don't
a
know if that would be the
political
right
activist.
person.
This is an extremely specific and complicated issue that nobody that hasn't taken, we're talking about not a day, a week, a month, or even a year to study this, is really qualified to negotiate this thing. There are people like Bonnie who have been involved. Bonnie is a wealth of information. And you know, she's entitled to her opinion. I don't have to share exactly the same thing. But she's entitled to it. Chris Rowe, a wealth of information. Christina Walsh, a wealth of information. I like to take their information, not necessarily their conclusions, and then form my own conclusions. The problem is a lot of the politicians don't take the time to listen to all sides of the issue.
Exactly.
They listen to only one side, then that's the side, unfortunately, that's screaming the loudest. And the people like us, and I know Bonnie disagrees with this, but you know, listen, we have to agree to disagree.
Let's start.
We are charged as elected representatives of this community to number one, represent the wishes of our stakeholders, and two, to act in what we believe is the best interest of the stakeholders.
And a responsible interest.
Yes, the best interests. And it is clear to me that the majority of the stakeholders in the community of West Hills do not want a cleanup to background for
Correct.
chemical contamination.
Correct.
I've never heard anybody come to our board to
Oh,
say that.
I've talked to hundreds.
Never
of
heard anybody.
people. I've talked to hundreds of people.
I have a
But
question.
there were
Well,
people,
wait a minute.
Wait,
Shar had
Shar was next, and then
there were people in the last meeting that said that.
Shar was next.
Okay, so to Steve's point, I absolutely agree that the politicians, for the most part, they don't read the reports. They don't, do we even see them at all these meetings we've gone to for years? I mean, I think their
That's a good
understanding is at a pretty low level, if at all. That's one thing. The other thing is, for me, the starting point is that the site is going to be open space. You have to start from there. When you look at it and say, okay, this is going to be residential, it's not. So that doesn't even make sense for that to be a part of the puzzle because it's non-existent. So my third point or question to Bonnie is, I've kind of been thinking as everyone's been speaking, what if we put a meeting together with Dan, with Hirsch, and a couple other people, maybe even invite some of these candidates or all of these, we have to invite everybody actually, and see if maybe we could come together
I have no influence over Dan Hirsch
What's his
at
position?
all.
I don't think anybody. has.
He's been involved since the
What's his
beginning.
position?
He discovered the meltdown, his students at UCLA. He wants the AOC because it's a signed agreement.
Is he a professor at UCLA?
now.
He used to be.
No.
And then
No,
he,
he's
then
not
he
a
taught at
professor. He
Santa
was a
Cruz.
lecturer at Santa Cruz.
Yeah, he was a lecturer at Santa Cruz.
And he's an authority worldwide for nuclear meltdowns and accidents and stuff.
But he
He's not
doesn't
an
really have
authority,
a
he's not an
scientific
expert.
He
background.
doesn't have the background.
You know what? That's propaganda. I have
No,
a
no, he
question. I have a question. Okay, Shar, you're
yeah.
co-chair of the neighborhood council. How is it that Alec can take money from the Department of Energy? He can write proposals that would benefit Boeing and Department of Energy and NASA, bring them to the board, and then he can vote on the same proposals that he wrote. How can that be legal?
Okay, first of all,
Under the,
How many
under
times
our
have you
ethic, under our
It's
ethics
been turned over to
rules,
the city attorney how many times?
under
I've
our
been
ethics
interviewed how
rules.
many times? I mean, they laughed at the letters they
How
got.
can that be legal?
The city
well,
attorney
first
says
of all,
it
he
is.
doesn't,
I've never heard
Alec
anything.
doesn't write his own proposals.
Sure he does.
Anything, no, he doesn't. Anything that he's ever brought to the board has been vetted by the Environment Committee and voted on before it's gone to the board.
And then it goes to the board.
Yeah,
Right.
but he's working for the polluters.
He's not working.
See, that's not, okay, Bonnie.
He is.
doesn't.
You've never been to
That
his
is
CAG.
not a fair,
You,
I've been
you
to
have
the
never
CAG.
been to
I-
all the
Yes, I
CAG.
have.
I've been to a
I've
lot.
been to a CAG meeting.
I've been to a lot.
I've been to 3 or 4 CAG meetings.
Where we had a
over the years.
lecture on the SRE and the lecturer wrote some of the pages himself.
I don't
Said
know
that
what- I don't know about
radiation's
that,
good
but-
for you, that in Russia they
He
go in
didn't say,
caves
no,
to
no,
get,
that's,
get
that was a
radon.
ridicule statement from Dan Hirsch. That's not what he
I was at the
said.
meeting.
I was at the meeting also.
I heard Weisberg
No, I
give that
heard
lecture.
Dan say, you must be saying it's good for you. And he laughed.
Yeah.
It was very funny.
I heard the lecture that Abe gave in Bell Canyon. And you said that at the last water runoff meeting that nothing got off. It did. It ran through Bell Creek, and you did not say that. They found TCE in Bell Creek, and you
When?
said
When?
nothing.
No,
Who found it and when?
let's look at the
After
video.
the last
DTSC tested the hill
Let's
on
look at the video.
stormwater runoff.
When, and this is after this year.
Let's look
Yeah,
at
that's
the video.
recently. On
I'd like
stormwater,
to see the results of that.
Yeah.
on stormwater runoff,
Yeah.
and they said they didn't find it anywhere except in Bell Creek.
Excuse
found
me,
TCE.
can
Wait,
can
wait, I wanna
someone-
say, yeah, but
he's
I
just
wanna say
talking
something,
garbage
wait,
here.
Go
I
ahead.
wanna say something as
Let's not-
co-chair
we have to
of
re-
the
we have-
neighborhood
Yes.
council.
We'll agree to disagree.
Okay, no one, not you, not me, not anyone on the board or certainly on this committee can make accusations against other board members unless, and that should be privately anyway.
Yeah.
But you'd have to have facts to back that up. You'd have to have those.
Well, you
facts.
It's also a violation of
You
our
wanna
bylaws.
You wanna
Right,
see
you
his
can't
income
just accuse
taxes? The
people.
money went to him.
And
and his
no,
income
It's a
tax-
violation of our bylaws.
His
Right.
income tax said he was not a lobbyist. That's exactly what he is.
He is not a lobbyist.
He went
That's
to
not-
4 neighborhood
Can
councils.
Please.
I at least partially respond to
Yeah.
this? Partially?
Yeah, go ahead.
I got $34,000 4 years ago. 21,000 is still in the bank
It
today.
doesn't matter.
Excuse me.
You
That
took
is-
money from the
So,
DOE.
so DOE has given her
Right, that's
at
true.
least 3 grants.
That's not true.
DOE was paying for
That
the rental of
is
the
a
house.
lie.
Can I finish?
That's a lie.
Let me
I'm
finish.
not staying for this conversation.
That is a total lie.
Somebody could say
PS
that about your accusation that you just made against
PSR had to
Alec.
go through the charity of DOE, where they were given the money for a meeting
Well, where did the money
anonymously.
come
They
from?
did not know who they were dealing with. He got the money directly from
Alec
John
did not
Jones.
personally get any money.
It went into his
It's not his,
401(c) or whatever
it's
that
not
is.
his anything, it's a nonprofit.
Right.
He didn't get the money.
I can show you the bank statement.
Just like I'm gonna be raising money for a community center, and
We,
I'm gonna, yes,
we are going to be.
I'm gonna be a president of a 501c3, we filed the papers ready, and just because that 501c3 raises $1 million, are you gonna say, I got $1 million? Not one penny of that is going to me, not 1 cent. And it's the same thing that you're saying about Alec, it's not true. And Bonnie, you cannot make these kinds of accusations against other board members.
But it's true.
It's not true.
It is
true.
And even if
Right.
it was,
Show us some
you're
evidence.
prohibited from doing it by the code of ethics, by the code of civility, you're not allowed to do that.
You're not.
I'm just telling you, you've been told numerous times not to do it.
Well, do you know what he did to the workers?
Bonnie, you're still doing it.
Well,
Bonnie, what does it take to get you to stop? You
I
can't
did
do
do it.
this.
Right, you cannot
Excuse
do
me,
that.
excuse me, can I talk to you, Merle, just to address them? This is what happens when talking to these people. Personal attacks.
I don't want to hear it.
But.
Whatever you're saying to me, I don't want to hear it.
Well, but
He
you,
sees
you
it.
won't
He
listen
sees
either.
Whatever you're telling me, I don't want to hear it.
We
Okay?
have to keep the personal attacks out of it. We have to stop attacking each other,
Right.
and we have to.
It doesn't
work.
solve the
The
problem
only
of
thing
the
that's gonna solve the problem is
SSFL,
working together.
period.
Exactly.
And as long as the people don't want to work together, and everybody wants to be name calling and making accusations false or true, whatever they might be, against other people, it's, we're
That's right.
gonna get nowhere.
Okay,
That's
isn't
right.
that what Alec's doing? How many times did he mention Dan Hirsch?
Because Dan Hirsch has been a forward driver in this
It's a
whole
public
thing.
figure.
He's a public figure, and he's been at the head of this for many, many years.
Dan Hirsch is the one that's making money.
That's
He is
Dan-
not.
yes,
He
he-
works for all kinds of
He's
charities.
making money.
So what? He doesn't get it from
Well,
DOE.
you say it's okay for him to do it? and
He's
you
not
accuse-
getting money from DOE. He's
He's-
getting public
He
donations.
is making money on this when nobody else involved is making money.
By the way,
Alec's not making money, you're
By
not
the way-
making money, I'm not. None of us
If
are
you-
making money.
by the way, if he is a lecturer at the University of California, Santa Cruz, okay? A lecturer at the University of, any of the University of Californias, are people who don't have the credentials to be a professor. You must trust me on this.
He comes from.
I am a full professor, emeritus, from the University of California, Los Angeles. And I worked my way up from a lecturer position to that level with research and publishing and everything else that I was required to do. A lecturer doesn't make a lot of money.
Well, to
hang on.
me, this
Their
should
starting
not,
salary for a lecturer is about $60,000.
but that has nothing to do with
It
it.
has to do with the fact that he's selling himself, if that's the case. If he's selling himself to get other monies from other situations, okay? And besides, the University of California, Santa Cruz is not known for their sciences.
Yeah, but this has nothing to
The
do
University of
with that.
California, Santa Cruz is known for their humanities. The schools that are known for the sciences within the UC system are Stanford and UCLA.
But this has nothing to do with Dan Hirsch. This has to do with the DTSC,
But I'm
NASA,
only telling you his
NASA,
credentials,
Boeing,
that's
and
all.
DOE. That's it. DTSC, State of California, the three polluters. That's
Okay,
all it
here-
has
I
to
mean,
do with.
Berkeley,
here's the
not
thing.
Stanford, Berkeley.
Our objective is to work together with everybody, all sides, all opinions, to get that cleanup, whatever that cleanup is. The accusations have to stop. If you have proof of something, you need to bring it to Dan Brennan and I. But you cannot make accusations against any board member.
There've been
There's plenty of
accusations against board members
You
and
cannot do
this
that.
committee in general and the entire West Hills Neighborhood Council that we don't want a cleanup.
That's
Now,
right.
you know that's not true.
Well,
And you know the people that are saying it.
the 2% cleanup is not a cleanup. That's all the
That's
cleanup.
a misrepresentation body. If only 2% of the property has severe contamination, like the radionuclide
Cleanup's
here,
cleanup.
here, and here,
Yeah.
and cleaning up those two things, that's only 2% of the whole square footage area of the acreage. That's all you need to do. Doesn't matter if it's 1%, 2%, 10%, what
It's
it's always.
running off. It's running off.
No.
It went down to Dayton Canyon, it went to Brandeis Bardine, it went to Runkle Canyon, and it went to Amundsen Ranch. It was found all around.
I know, but by the
The
time, by the
Yeah, but
time it
what
gets
year
to
was
those,
that?
and by the time it gets that far off the site, it's been diluted to a huge
No,
level. It's
no,
not
I'm
like
not
having-
sure about that.
Not the
I'm
nuclear.
not sure about that.
But the nuclides need to be cleaned.
Plutonium over at Brandeis.
I'm
Well,
not
they
sure.
need to be
it's-
cleaned up, wherever it is.
Not sure it's.
We all agree on that.
I
Yeah.
don't know enough
But,
about
and
science.
here's the other thing, if that's true, then we need to see
I haven't
that
seen
in
it.
black and
I
white. We
haven't
need
seen
to
it.
see a
We
report
don't have any
that
proof.
shows that says that verifies that, because all the reports that I've
I'll
read
look for it.
does not say
Absolutely.
that.
We'd love to see that.
Yeah, show us.
We'd like to
We
see
can't, people, I'm not referring to you, Bonnie, but people, they throw these things out as fact, and there's nothing to back it up. And we can't go down that street,
All right,
I
next
don't know why somebody hasn't,
next meeting, I'll bring a
why they
stack.
haven't
We only
gone
want
to
to deal
Caltech.
with facts.
I'll bring a stack.
Caltech deals with nuclear
Well,
stuff.
could you bring something that shows that I'm doing something unethical, please? Bring some proof.
Alec,
Helping-
please don't go there.
Helping
Alec,
Boeing, NASA, and DOE
Alec, please
is
don't.
I'll
unethical.
go to the city attorney with you. I'll drive.
This has gone to the city attorney.
Yeah, it has.
Complaints
I think
have been made.
Save had a question.
Yeah, so is there a SSFL advisory panel still in existence?
Yes.
That's about what?
Advisory panel.
You mean the CAG advisory?
Yeah, the community advisory panel.
The group?
No, here it says Dan Hershey. This is from 2008. I'm reading a 2008 article. It says also serve as co-chair of the SSFL advisory panel.
And who is it saying it's co-chair?
I guess Dan Hirsch.
Was that the work group?
There's something
I
called.
guess he has a committee to bridge the gap.
Yeah,
Well-
Yeah.
committee to bridge the gap.
Yes, he is.
Yes.
And
Alec was
that's
part of
one
a
the-
group that went to DTSC and demanded that the work group be shut down, so they shut us
Who
down.
did it?
You
She's
did,
saying you did.
and
I
all
did?
the people
Okay.
on your K.
The work
Bonnie,
group is shut
there.
down.
Oh.
See, you just threw that out
I was
there.
there.
You
I
were
saw
there,
the
you heard
signage.
Alex say that.
I saw the sign-in sheet at
Show me.
DTSC. I was
Show me.
part of the group.
Did you hear him say that?
I've never heard Alex say anything like that.
Alex,
The
John
accuracy-
Luker, Christina Walsh, Liz Crawford, Chris Rowe, Abe Weisberg. I saw the list of people
they
that
all
had
wanted-
signed in to go meet with DTSC.
How do you know what
Well-
he said?
What's wrong with that?
Yeah,
Everybody
what's
knows
wrong with
everything.
No, everybody doesn't know everything unless.
That group said that the work group was too tough. We want
Who
them
said?
shut down.
I never heard
I don't know
that.
anything about that.
I was there.
Okay, guys,
There.
we spent almost an hour on this.
I
And she has all this stuff with no evidence, and I have all my stuff with
You
no
have to have
evidence.
something to back it
We're
up.
not getting anywhere.
Yeah.
Because
If you
otherwise-
have
I have
something,
stuff at home.
Well, I bet you
I've
always say that, but you
boxes
don't bring it
of
when you make these claims. You have to have something, if you're gonna make a claim, bring something, this is the place. to
And
do
it has to be current, because,
Yeah, not 15 years later.
yeah, the old stuff, you know, there's
They've
been.
not tested up there for
Well,
currently.
Then we don't know what the situation is currently.
Well, and there has been
That's the
current,
problem.
much more current.
Well, I know what went into Brandeis because I had the same attorney who won that case. I
What
know,
year was that, though?
2006.
well, how do you
Yeah,
respond
it's
to the
29.
tests? that
I
they
know
have
what,
on?
what was found in
13
Dayton
years.
Canyon because I called for the investigation.
But
62
it's
million
but
parts
it's-
per
It
billion
didn't
of
show
traces.
everything.
2019 though, and.
I know
That
what was
was-
on Amundsen because they tested
But
it
that
before
Dayton
they made it a
Canyon,
ranch.
that Dayton Canyon thing, that was, if I'm not mistaken, where some people claimed that somebody had planted.
No,
some-
you know, they couldn't have possibly carried that much perchlorate. I
It was
saw,
all in one spot.
Yeah.
It was
And
dumped
they
in one
said
spot.
all
I
it would have
saw
taken was a backpack.
I saw the trail that
Guys,
led right to
you're
the
really-
creek where they found
Where I
it.
was
All
at.
You're getting off
the
on that
barrels,
discussion.
We are.
the barrels were
You
buried in
should
the
just
creek.
carry this on forever.
So let's,
The problem is, nobody's been able to find perchlorate since.
Well, and the thing is, when they came out with the no further action letter, and some people, you know, did object to that, I mean, it's almost like every time something comes out to make a statement that something is clear or clean, then everybody says, oh, they're lying. So it's like,
They stopped
do we
testing.
ever believe a report or don't we? I mean,
They stopped testing and they allowed the building.
well, we have to rely on scientific evidence.
right.
And then when we try to rely on scientific evidence, other people say, well, you can't believe the testing,
Right.
you can't believe the scientific evidence. Well, I mean, what are we supposed to believe?
And I do think people sometimes lie or exaggerate, but I think when you're
I think
looking
people
at
are
the
misled.
scientific, yeah, when you're looking, a whole group of people would have to be, it'd be like a conspiracy.
Yeah.
So,
So I suggest, guys, that we move on because we're 1 hour into the meeting, which is
Okay.
supposed to be the end of the meeting. So I want to go to new business. Alec, you had something here, the environment and you?
Yes, I got into a bit of a problem. I had a speaker lined up, and at the last minute, I got a cancellation. So I started looking through, I guess I won't say it, hurt Bonnie's feelings.
That's uncalled for.
I started looking through all of the communications that are being handled in some places. And they're in the form of letters, petitions, public meetings, representatives at the local, state, and federal levels, and then agencies that take actions, like DTSC or the Water Board. Newspapers, video, magazines, and social media. So all of these are available to us, and I'm saying if we have, at some point, an issue, like you want testing done at the baseball field, then we have to be prepared to stand up and issue documentation to these people to make it happen. We're not set up to do that. We haven't done that in the past. But I guess what I'm saying is if we have an issue and we identify an issue, we should decide how we're going to deal with it and then take some action on writing or communicating. So we have people who are reporters that love reporting on various situations. Maybe we can call them. Olga's available. Call her and talk to her about some of these issues so that it can be publicized and we get
That's a
some
good
action.
idea. I like that.
But I think if we're going to identify an issue, then we have to identify a means of dealing with it.
Okay.
And that's where I ended up, just looking at all of the things that are available, you can almost pick and choose what level you want to attack. And that's where I ended up.
Okay.
I think if we have the issue, if we identify the issue, then we have to be prepared to do something. Merle has suggested that we go after the councilman candidates, fine, and let's write them a letter. I think before the meeting is over, where you identify something, then you have to at the same time assign actions to someone to go ahead and do it. Otherwise, it just sits there. And so that's basically where I ended up.
Okay.
I have a question. So are you suggesting that in the invitation that we're sending to the candidates for CD12, that we include in there that we would like to know their position on the cleanup of Santa Susana Field Lab?
Sure.
Okay, I like that.
To ask Shar a question, okay, if you want information on the pollution that is run off of Santa Susana and you want it current, they've not done any testing currently. So there won't be anything.
If I'm not mistaken, Christina Walsh said that they did some testing. I think it was an outfall, was it 8? 2. It was one of the outfalls where she said that they tested the water coming out of the outfall, but in reality the contamination was going downhill before it got to that outfall.
Right, it never hit the
That it
outfall.
never hit the outfall. But who has tested that? And
Can
where do
I
because they
help
tested
you
the
a little
outfall.
bit with that? The outfalls are being tested.
They are being tested.
And the results from the latest storm season haven't been published. Boeing's doing the testing under the supervision of the Southern Regional Water Quality Control Board.
That's what I
If
thought.
anybody has a problem with that, call the water and you can look at all the reports they have. The contamination that's being, where they say violations, is down to where they're affecting the invertebrates. It's far beyond the standards of water. So when they say contamination is wrong, it's just not happening.
Well, that one outfall, she said there's plenty of water running close to it, but it doesn't exactly go to the outfall. So I'm not gonna be
Well-
hiking up there to look at it.
But
I
without
have no idea.
results of testing of the water that's supposedly going around the outfall, then we only have one person's claim that that's the case. Now, I'm not saying it's not true. I don't know.
I don't know
Well,
either.
could I suggest something? If groundwater, stormwater runoff is a concern, Boeing's supposed to be coming up with their report. Why don't we have Boeing come in and explain what the status of their testing is?
Because nobody that's on nobody's gonna believe Boeing. We might, but Bonnie's not gonna believe Boeing.
I'm not gonna trust them.
Christina's not gonna believe Boeing. So having them come in really, unfortunately, doesn't serve any purpose as far as us trying to get together on a meeting of the minds.
No, we need an official report.
From who?
The water board.
Okay, so
We
you
need the
you
water
guys
board.
will accept the report from the water.
Yeah, we need the water board.
The water board doesn't issue a report. What they do is they approve the report that Boeing has put together, or they ask for revisions.
Okay.
And so,
So that would be good enough.
Fine,
If they
we can get
approved the
somebody
Boeing
from the water
report and
board.
they reviewed it, that would be the same thing as if they did a report, because they're approving it. So if they approve it, so let's let's try to find out.
Well, they do show contamination if they find it, because then they get money from Boeing.
oh, jeez.
So they have to pay penalties.
No way to win.
There are penalties.
All right, let's
You
move
think
on.
that's funny?
No, I'm just
That's
saying,
not-
no
it's
matter
not
what
really
anybody
funny.
says, you have some kind of an offsetting argument. And
You don't trust the water board?
they don't trust nobody ever trusts anybody. Anybody that wants to show documentation that's different from what they believe just says, well, I don't believe it, they're not legitimate, they're this, they're that, they're getting money for this. I mean, it's ridiculous.
No, I'm
You
just
have to
saying, I'm
trust
just telling
somebody.
you what happens if they do find contamination. They get penalized. And that, those penalties you can go way back and you can look at how many
I
per year.
understand.
All I'm telling you, it makes a record.
Let's go to old business. Al, it says that Steve Randall and Al
I
discussed.
listed the ideas that were put forward in the
In last month's meeting?
last month's meeting, and I haven't followed up further because, like I say, we have to decide on how to approach it and what action to take. Who's going to take what action to make these things happen? I think, for example, if we have questions about stormwater, I can contact the water board, but I will not have somebody from the water board come here and be ridiculed or interrupted or yelled
Nobody's
at.
ever done that to the
or all
water
this.
board.
What?
Nobody's ever done that to the water board that I can remember.
Well, it's been done to other agencies.
Okay, are we done?
Yeah, we're done.
Is this going to be posted on the West Hills page? Yes, no?
Well, I'm sorry, what was?
Is this gonna be posted, the film?
I
You
think
have
they
the
all
answer?
are, aren't they?
There you go. They're
Huh?
available.
They all are available online.
And while you're looking at that, then check my comments on the runoff. I believe I ended up by saying, yes, TCE was found in Dayton Canyon, I mean in Bell Canyon. But check the video.
No, you didn't, said that at that meeting.
Check
It was a while ago.
Okay.
Check the video, it's all available.
Are we done?
Okay,
We're
let's
done.
go ahead. 8:09.
By the way, Dan
We're
Hirsch,
closed.
Dan Hirsch,
Why do you keep bringing up Dan Hirsch?
well, I'm telling you what he teaches at UC.
It has nothing to do with this meeting. And I resent it. I think that
He
is,
teaches, he doesn't teach
I think
nuclear
you're
science.
violating our code of ethics when you do that.
No, I'm not.
Yes, you are.
He teaches political science.
Yes.
I'll let you